Welcome to the Taff Xtreme Marathon Race Brief. My name is Ben, I'm one of the race directors. Registration is in Garou at the event base and race finish. The address is on the website. That's between 4 and 7 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. Usually there is a big queue at the start, so to avoid the queue, just turn up a bit later. There is also a registration on Sunday morning in Garou. Please make sure you bring all your compulsory kit to registration. Coach collection, if you've booked it, is then at 8:30 a.m. from the obvious bus stops outside the college in Garou. Please be at the coach collection point with your race kit before 8:30. As soon as you arrive in Merthyr, please get your GPS tracker fitted. There will be marshals on hand to guide you. There is a race brief at the start at 9:40 and then the race starts outside at 10. The overall cutoff is 10 p.m. Please make sure you have the current GPS trace uploaded to your device and downloaded from our website. The final GPS trace was up to date as of last week. So there's a guidance video on how to download a GPS trace from our website and upload it onto the Outdoor GPS app if that's what you're using. As this is the Xtreme race, I'm sure most of you will be using a watch to navigate. As you know, this is the Xtreme. There are no route markings. It is your responsibility to navigate the course using the GPS trace. However, there will be some markings where the Xtreme and the Brecon to Cardiff Classic route, which follows the Taff Trail, converge. There will also be some markings on the course between the start in Merthyr and checkpoint 1. Any route diversions will be marked with our branded signs or orange tape. But still, you need to be following the GPS trace through that section. If you do get lost or if you're in doubt, give us a call. The emergency number is on the map and you should add that into your phone at registration. We can talk you back onto the route and give you assistance as necessary. There are 3 checkpoints along the route. You must report to each checkpoint. You cannot skip a checkpoint or miss it. There is a mix of water, energy drinks, and a mixture of snacks at the checkpoints along the route. The race starts at 10 a.m. and follows a short stretch along the Taff Trail. Be vigilant for bikes and pedestrians on the Taff Trail. And also be vigilant for vehicles, especially on any road crossings along the first section, particularly up to checkpoint 1. Checkpoint 1 is at Aberamon. It's directly on the route. You will literally run into the checkpoint. As you head down into that valley, look out for some additional markings on the section. There's a couple of tricky turns. Please cross the roads at the road crossings or using the footbridges and follow our markings. The cutoff here is at 3:30. So you leave the checkpoint into the Land 1 forestry. You start going steeply uphill and there you follow the Glamorgan Way marked footpath signs. They're brand new signs, they're well marked. The checkpoint is in the St Gwynno Forest car park on the route. So as long as you are on the GPS trace, you will literally run into the checkpoint. The cut-off time there is at 5 p.m. Around that checkpoint are 3 road crossings that you need to be vigilant at. One's immediately before the checkpoint as you cross into that forest car park. The other 2 are slightly further along the route as seen on the map. Approximately 2 miles before the Pontypridd checkpoint, the final checkpoint on all courses, there's a closed section of the Taff Trail. It's only a small section, so you will need to follow the diversion. This will be signed on the day. It's also on the current GPSs. Ponty's last checkpoint is an indoor venue in Trollwyn Community Centre. It's the same location as last year, but previous to that it is a different location to the years before. Okay, it's a nice indoor community centre, a good chance to just sort yourself out, ready for the last push down towards Cardiff. And the cutoff there is at 8 p.m. The checkpoint is shared with the Brecon to Cardiff Classic runners. After leaving the checkpoint, you need to be aware of the route splitting. This is shortly after the checkpoint, once you have crossed over the main A470 road using the footbridge. The Xtreme runners head up and onto the common, then uphill, and the Classic runners head along the road and onto the Taff trail. So just make sure you're paying attention to your GPS device and looking out for our markings. Once you've descended off the last hill, you will regain the Taff trail about a mile away from the finish. From the Taff trail to the finish in Garrow, this will be well signposted. Key point here is that once you've left the cycle path Taff trail, is that you shouldn't be crossing over Caerphilly Road. You can see on the map there, which is a pedestrian crossing. It continues you on the Taff trail, so you're leaving the Taff trail. There on that map, you can see the purple dots which show the Taff trail. We're dropping down through Nangaroo and into the race finish. The most important thing at the finish, really, for everybody, is just to ensure you have a warm change of clothes and a warm jacket for the finish. The amount of times we see people just come to the finish, they finish the race, they've just got their running kit on, they're soaking wet, they start to walk back to their car, and that's when the shivers and the dangers of hypothermia start to kick in. Okay, so change of clothes is a must. You can leave that change of clothes in Nangaroo in the finish location when you register or when you collect the buses in the morning, so there's a bit of space to leave a bag for clothing there. So moving on to some course safety. With road crossings, please take care when crossing roads. Make sure you're following the highway code. When you're on those roads, it's your responsibility to cross roads safely. Please don't fall in the canal. If you need first aid, physio or medical assistance, please call the number on the map and we'll arrange for help to come to you. There's a compulsory kit that you should already be aware of. You must carry all parts of that kit at all times. I'd like to draw your attention to a couple of key points on that. You must carry a thick upper body long sleeve mid layer or 2 long sleeve winter base layers. The minimum combined weight of 300 grams. So these should be in your bag when you start running. Okay, so if you're wearing one of those base layers, when you cross the line, you need another one. So in your backpack, when you start running, on that canal path, you must have 300 grams of mid layers in your pack. You also need to make sure that your waterproof top and bottoms have taped seams. All of this will be checked at kit check. So before you receive your race number at registration, you will need to pass through kit check. So make sure you bring your kit to registration. So you should pack all that compulsory safety kit into a waterproof plastic bag or a dry bag to keep it dry so that it's dry and works when you need it. So just remember, the compulsory kit is the minimum required. So if you get cold easily, you should ensure you're carrying a little bit more. The kit list can be found on the website. In 2022, conditions were really bad, really wet, really windy. We had a number of incidents of runners and individuals having mild hypothermia. We had several people dropping out of the race just because they didn't carry enough warm kit with them. Hypothermia is a dangerous drop in body temperature below 35 degrees C, which normal body temperature is 37 degrees. A medical emergency needs to be treated in hospital. If you think someone has hypothermia or they have any of the signs, shivering, pale or cold or dry skin, blue lips, slurred speech, slow breathing, tiredness or confusion. So the key thing for us on the race is to avoid getting hypothermia. Minimize the risk of getting hypothermia. You can get hypothermia if you don't have enough clothes in cold weather. You deal with that with the compulsory kit. You stay out in the cold too long. Again, that's a risk for us. Fall into cold water. Or vitally, for us, you get soaked from rain or importantly from sweat. Even if it's not raining, it's cold and windy, typical Welsh winter weather. If you've been running and you're sweaty, and then you start to slow down because you've got muscle soreness or you just can't move quick enough, you can start to go down quite quickly in this winter weather. The best treatment for hypothermia is to avoid getting it in the first place. So if you do find yourself getting cold or are awaiting collection, things to do: make sure you move yourself into shelter. Indoors is best. Inside a bus shelter, just get out of the conditions. Key is to remove any wet clothing. Wrap yourself in a full blanket or one of our sleeping bags, dry towel, making sure your head is covered or their head is covered. But make sure, again, get rid of that wet clothing is the quickest way to start to warm up. You can have a warm non-alcoholic drink, some sugary food like chocolate if they're awake. Keep any casualties awake by talking to them until further help arrives. And make sure someone is with them. Okay, if you are dealing with someone on the course, you will be given time credits, but get some help as quick as possible. So warm them up slowly. Don't use hot baths or radiators or rub hands, arms or legs, which warm people up too quickly. If you're injured, if you feel unwell, if you need assistance, report to a checkpoint or just give us a call on the emergency number. The number's on the map that's provided to you at registration. And if you're slowing down and heading to the checkpoint, just put your warm kit on. Even if you need to, just call that emergency number. We can keep monitoring you on the GPS trackers, or send someone out to come and help or collect you. If you find someone injured on the course, please offer assistance. It's important we're looking after each other out on the courses. According to Race HQ, numbers on the map. Any time lost through helping another runner who is seriously injured will be recredited. But just on that note, I just want to highlight that it needs to be called in at the earliest opportunity and it needs to be a proper injury. So in the past, we've had people come into the checkpoint and say, I missed the cut-off times, and then say, oh, I walked with someone because they had a blister or they were feeling a bit down. So they need to be called in at the earliest opportunity. Anything serious, we will generously provide time back. There is an emergency SOS button on the GPS tracker. You press your SOS button only in the event of a race-ending emergency. Once that button's been pressed, you're out of the race. The first thing we will do then is try to call you, so make sure your phone is on, or even better still, call us first. You'll be shown where the SOS button is when you have your tracker fitted, if you haven't used them before. And if you come across someone who is injured, you should press their SOS button so we know who we are dealing with. And then, of course, give us a call so we know what's going on. If you retire, it must be at a checkpoint. Please report to the checkpoint manager. Please text or call the race director on that mobile phone number on the map. You can text, you can call, but you also need to return your GPS tracker to that checkpoint manager. Okay, and again, every time we use trackers, we always see one or two people driving down the M4 who've been picked up either at the finish or who've had to retire due to injury and have got collected by friends and then forgot to return their tracker. So just make sure you return it. Everybody will be GPS tracked on the race. It's provided by Open Tracking, who are the best in the field, track all their huge races across the UK. A reminder, GPS trackers are going to be fitted at the race starts, not at registration. So at the race start, when you arrive, please ensure you get your tracker fitted as soon as possible. This will be upstairs in the theatre in Brecon or indoors in the leisure centre if you are on the marathon in Merthyr. The trackers are also your timing. So if you don't collect a tracker, you will not be recorded with the time on the course. Okay, it's really important. Please get those trackers fitted as soon as you arrive at the start. Please remember that with the trackers, there is a delay to uploading directly on to the tracking map on the website. So if you do go off course, it will likely be 5 minutes or so before it appears on the tracking page. I'm just highlighting this because it's important to remind you just to pay attention to your GPS trace and our signs on the course. The tracking link will be sent out via email 1 to 2 days before the race, once the link is live on the websites. It will also be shared on social media in the lead up to the race. And finally, good luck, have fun, and most importantly, look after each other out on the course.